What I'm wanting to do today is do a short video of a couple of different types of lantern that you can make for the Community of Light festival that we have in New Bradwell in February. You can have a look on Facebook. We have got a Facebook page if you're interested. This is a type that is a bit more sort of, you have to use a bit more craft to make one of these. This takes a bit more work, obviously, and it's just the top of a bottle, cut and draw. I think I drew this on with Sharpie pens, and the lights are just stuffed through the hole in the bottle, and then I sellotaped it in, and you've got the battery pack which comes up here. And you won't really be able to see them alight properly at the minute because it's not dark enough, but you can see that the light inside will shine nicely through the pen. And if you wanted to, you could tie this to a stick so that you're not having to hold your arm up to show the lantern. So if you tied it to a stick, it would probably hang a bit nicer as well. So that's the second type that I'll show you. Let's just turn that off to save my flagging batteries. The first type is just going to be a really simple lantern. Just going to cut off the label. And I would normally use a craft knife to cut this off, but actually if you haven't got a craft knife, you can just pinch the bottle a bit, you can snip a little bit, and then you can put your scissors in and cut around. This one's quite handy because it's got a line all the way round, which means we can see where we want to cut it off. So this bit you can save to use for the second type of lantern. So first of all, you could just leave it like this and hold the lantern underneath, but if you wanted to use string, I'm using this pointy thing. It's a bit ruined now, you can see it's bent. So what I'm going to do is heat up this spike, and I'm just going to burn a hole through. This is for the string to go through. You might have to do it a couple of times to get it a good size to fit your string through. There we go, that's one side. And then exactly opposite, so I've got one here, so I want the other one just here. Do the same again. Heat it up nice and hot. If you're a child wanting to do this, get an adult to help you. There we go. So we've got two holes at the top to put some string through. Okay, so what we're not going to bother putting the string on just yet. So what I've got some of these bits of tissue paper, different colours, and basically you can get some glue. You could either use spray glue, or you could use this type of glue, the stick glue, or you could use PVA with a brush. But just for a very simple thing, I'm just going to dab a bit of glue on and then stick on some shapes, and it doesn't matter where they go, what colour combination, or you could take your time and do a pattern of some sort. Let's put a bit on at a time and build up a bit of a pattern. So they don't have to be straight, you can literally just stick them on however you like. And so you would just carry on doing this until you had as much on as you felt was good. There we go, let's put another one over here. So just going around, sticking on more bits of coloured paper, And you could use any type of paper, really. You could use sweet wrappers, anything that will shine nicely once it's got some lights inside. And then what I would do, I would cover the whole thing, or cover it as much as you felt like. And then what I would do is just get my lights, sort of unravel them a bit and pop them inside, so that they were randomly spread all around the bottle. Tie some string on the top. You could then tie it to a stick as well if you wanted to, and that's just a very basic lantern there. So that's how you could do that. Or you could use paints if you wanted to. I've got some paints here. Let's see how that would look. The only problem with if you're using paint is it doesn't let the light through as much, so you can see that it would probably shine through a little bit better through the tissue paper. So you could do a couple of different colours if you wanted to. This is acrylic paint. It's just cheap acrylic paint, which I suppose is better because it means that it doesn't cover as well, which means that the light will probably shine through it a little bit better. So you could be as, you know, go as fancy as you wanted to. You could actually do pictures, you could do whatever, or you could just do what I'm doing, which is putting on some broad bands of colour like this. Okay, so you could cover your whole bottle. That doesn't really look like different types of pink, does it? But there we go. So you could cover the whole bottle in whichever way you wanted to decorate it, and that could look quite nice. The acrylics that I'm using are called Anita's all-purpose acrylic, and I think they're quite cheap. I've had them years, so they're probably not working as good as they could. So that's very basic, and you could use paper and paint. You know, you can go wild and do whatever you see fit with that. And now we'll move on to the other type, and I'll just show how I did that. For the next one, I'm going to be using the other half of the bottle that we cut off. This is pretty sticky. You might want to wash yours first. I didn't, it's just dried out. Okay, so what I'll start with, I'm using a Sharpie, and you'll basically mark all around the edge of your bottle where you would like your petals to be cut. So I'm just making some rough marks here. So you just do that all the way round. You don't even have to be particularly even. Then what you'll do is cut along those lines. Okay, it's one there too. And then what you're going to do, bend them ones out of the way if you can. You're going to just round off these to make them petal shaped. And they don't, I mean, I didn't cut the other ones very carefully. My hands don't work very well these days. Good old arthritis. So you'll just go all the way around and cut these kind of petal shapes. Okay, so that's it. They're all cut into shape. Now if you wanted to, you could just leave them like that, sort of like a snowdrop or a bluebell type flower, and just decorate it from there. Or you can, if you want to, you have to be a bit rough with it. bend the petals and start to shape them so that they stick out how you want them to. And I'm sort of rolling them and folding them so that they start to take the shape that I want them to take. Kind of stick a dent in there and then start shaping each petal. So you go all the way around, bending and rolling. And you could, if you wanted to, decorate each petal first before you bend it and roll it. But I actually prefer to do it once it's shaped. It gives you a bit more of an idea of what it's going to look like. So there we've got a nice flower shape. And I did the first one I showed you. I did this one with Sharpies, and that looks quite nice, and it really does let the light through quite nicely. And I didn't really plan it, I just sort of started doing this. I just started roughly colouring it in. So I did this. Then chose another colour. Got some pink. And then let's try a bit of this. And I think any other, it doesn't have to be Sharpies, any other sort of felt tip thing will work. So you just go through. You could do it all exactly the same colour if you wanted to. Just blend the colours into each other. And then I got a black pen, and I think I highlighted the edge of each petal, so I just roughly went round the edge, and then I just did some rough shapes in black on each petal. And you can't really see it in this light, but when you've got your lights in there, that shines out quite nicely. That was popped out again. And again, you could, if you wanted to, use paint. That goes on quite nicely and quite quickly. If you wanted to use paint, you'd probably use a lot more colours than I'm using here. And you could go round each petal and blend it in. I would probably, once I'd done that, once this has dried, I would probably get a Sharpie and just sort of paint on some little extras on there. Bearing in mind that the light won't shine through as well as it does with the felt pen version. If you wanted to, you could still, this would probably be easier if it was still flat rather than shaped, but you could also still use the shapes that you've cut out from tissue paper or sweet wrappers or other nice bits that you've got laying around. You could come up with some other ideas on how to decorate, I'm sure. Put some of these on as well. So it's really up to you. And then if you've got any bits overhanging, you can just trim those round so that they still take on the shape of the petals. So you've got 3 different ways to decorate it there. Sharpie or felt tip pens, some paint, or sticking on some bits of paper. I probably should take this hang guard off really. The last ones I had ended up completely wrecked because of doing things like this whilst wearing them. So then what you would do, once it was dry or you'd finished it in whichever way you wanted to finish it, you would then get your lights, and I just put them into a little bundle and just shoved them through like this and kept this bit long. And you could, if you wanted to, you could tape the wire from the battery pack onto the string if you wanted to, so that would hold it in place. So there we go, a couple of very, very simple ways to make some lanterns. So like I say, if you want to go and have a little search for the Facebook page, we are Community of Light Festival for New Bradwell, and it happens in February, and we encourage people to get things from their recycling box, so old bottles, tins, jars, that kind of thing, and make them into a lantern, use them for the festival. We have a parade that goes around New Bradwell, so you could use them for that, and then they can just go straight back into your recycling, and there's no waste other than what there would have been anyway.